Hi, this is Sean, and thank you for taking the time to download the Competition Killer. So far, we've had quite a number of downloads of the Competition Killer, and it's creating quite the buzz. We've also gotten quite a few really good questions asked as a result through the website. All right, let's move on to some of the top questions that have been posted here in the past couple days. First, we have Jack Knapik from Windsor, Connecticut. Jack asks, Sean, what is the best method of marketing to pre-foreclosure properties? All right, Jack, I've got a couple things in store for you here. I'm going to give you the top 5, and here's why. There's thousands of ways to market for pre-foreclosures, but there's 5 that work above and beyond everything else. I'll give them to you in this order. Number 1 is direct mail. And this is going to be different depending on if you're in a judicial foreclosure state or a non-judicial foreclosure state. Think of it this way. A judicial foreclosure state, think of judicial meaning judge, if you will. Judicial means that the lender actually kind of like has to sue you to get you out of the house. But in a non-judicial foreclosure state, really, they only have to give some notification and they can foreclose. So a non-judicial foreclosure state usually happens very quick. The foreclosure process does. A judicial foreclosure state, on the other hand, is usually a longer, much more drawn-out process. So you're going to do direct mail marketing differently depending on which state you're in. For example, in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm from, this is a non-judicial state. So there's only 21 days from the time that the lender announces that they're going to foreclose until the actual foreclosure date. It's one of the quickest states in the entire country. So I don't have much time to work short sales here in St. Louis. I had to get really good at them really fast. In my market, though, I'm only going to send 1 to 2 letters or postcards, a combination of both. Now, in a judicial state, we also do business in Illinois, and Illinois is a judicial state. So there is a much longer process over there for the foreclosures. Matter of fact, in Illinois, it takes like 7 to 9 months to get someone out of a house there. So we will send the homeowner there a series of anywhere from 3 to 5 letters and postcards until they call us, okay? Also, when the direct mail comes back, we skip trace the returned letters to find out where they've gone. And you can do that on a website called Accurant. I'll give you a little free tip right now. That website is www.accurant.com. It's an excellent skip tracing site. So that's number 1, direct mail. Number 2 is referrals, and I'm talking we get referrals from all types of people. Number 1 referral is other investors, because most investors either don't have any idea how to do short sales effectively, or they heard somewhere that they're difficult and they don't want to do them. So we get a huge amount of our leads from other investors. Realtors are another fantastic example of where to get leads from, because I tell you this right now, the majority of realtors don't have a clue how to do short sales. So we get a lot of leads from them as well. And then 3, we get a lot of referral leads from bankruptcy attorneys. Most people who file bankruptcy do so because they're behind on payments somewhere. Most of the time they're behind on payments with their house. So since we are in the pre-foreclosure business, a lot of times our clients need to be referred to a good bankruptcy attorney. We refer people to one bankruptcy attorney, and that bankruptcy attorney refers people right back to us as an excellent favor. All right, so those are 3 great ways to referrals. Number 3, so we talked about direct mail, referrals. Number 3, bandit signs, man. They work, all right, but you got to use them consistently. And then I'll give you another tip here. On your bandit signs, make your website address the same as your phone number. What do I mean by that? Well, if your phone number is 800-555-1212, make your website address 800-555-1212.com. Matter of fact, it would even be better if your phone number spelled something out, like, 1-800-foreclosure, and then you could do foreclosure.com. I know that's very general, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Number 4 is door knocking. Door knocking is an incredibly effective way to get pre-foreclosure prospects, but I don't want you to do this on your own. I want you to hire someone else to do this, get somebody else to do this for you. This is a time-consuming process, but here's the deal. It is very effective. So what I want you to do is hire somebody else to do this for you and pay them a minimum of $3,000 for every deal that they sign up that you close. It's an excellent way of marketing. And then number 5, classified ads. I know there's a lot of competition doing this, but if you make your selling proposition a little bit different, And what I mean by that is in all of your marketing, you need to be marketing to people and letting them know that you supply their options. Not that you buy houses, that's what everybody else is doing. That you can tell them what their options are and then let them pick. So classified ads do work. There is a lot of competition with them, but they do work. So keep that in mind. All right, on to question number 2. This is from Victor V in Los Angeles. Also, Curtis from Tampa had a very similar question. Victor says, I understand that when a bank or a lender accepts a short sale, they will not allow any money to go back to the seller. That is correct. But in the event of an older couple being unemployed due to disability and not having any other source of income, he asks, is there any way that they can get some cash back? Well, Victor, that's an excellent question. Yes, there is. You just have to be very careful on how you do this. You can buy a personal item from that seller if you want, like a refrigerator or a microwave. Just don't go crazy with this. I've had some investors come to me and say, hey, Sean, I wrote this up showing that I bought the microwave and I bought it for $5,000. Don't do that. You can buy a microwave for $200 or $300 or $400. You can buy a stove for $1,000. You can buy a refrigerator for $1,000. But don't go crazy with it, okay? Also, you can do this as well, but you must put it in writing and use a bill of sale. I would also prefer that you did this outside of the closing. Now, you can do it at the closing too if you're doing this with a bill of sale and write it up accordingly, but the lender is not going to want to see anything like this written up on the actual HUD settlement statement. So hopefully that answered your question, Victor. On to question number 3. This is from Peter in Albany, New York. Peter asks, is it possible to wholesale flip a short sale deal? And if so, how do you structure the deal? Do I do the whole short sale process and then pass it on, or what? What do I do here? Well, Peter, yes, it absolutely is possible to wholesale flip a short sale deal. Matter of fact, that's why I got into the short sale business in the first place. 70% of my business is wholesale deals via simultaneous closing. Even in today's market, there's not as many wholesalers as there were just a couple of years ago, because not as many people right now are out there buying properties. Believe it or not. It doesn't make sense at all because it's a buyer's market right now. Now is the time to buy. But isn't it true that there are less buyers right now than there were just a couple of years ago? Absolutely. Well, rest assured, Peter, 70% of my business is simultaneous closing wholesale deals. So what do I mean by that? I mean that I put the property under contract, I negotiate it with the lender, I get the price down to something that's acceptable for me to purchase, and then I flip it the same day that I purchase it over to a wholesaler. All right, and then I get to keep the meat in the middle. That's called a simultaneous closing. I personally like as little risk as possible. That's why I design 70% of my deals this way. I do also retail some properties, and I do very little rehab anymore. I don't do a whole lot of rehab anymore, only because I found that it's just as easy to sell a property, pick up a quick paycheck, and be done with it. Our average profit right now is $21,500 per deal. And remember, I'm wholesaling 70% of my stuff. So yes, it is very possible, and that's a very good question. All right, Sherry McBride has a question from Springfield, Missouri. She says, Sean, I'd like to know how to get through to the correct people when calling a mortgage company. It seems that sometimes they just pass the buck and tell you that it's not possible. Matter of fact, she says, I just had this happen with a prepayment penalty and no one would ever call me back. It seems that they just will not talk to me until it's too late. All right, Sherry, that's a great question. First of all, I want to make sure you're getting in touch with the right person, because if you're calling up and asking customer service questions about short sales, you're probably not going to get through to the person that you need to get a hold of. The person that you want to speak to is called the loss mitigator, and usually there's one loss mitigator assigned to each portfolio. So you want to get in touch with the loss mitigator that is assigned to your account. Now, some lenders require an offer to be submitted first before they'll even assign a loss mitigator to the account. Some lenders don't. But for the most part, we usually submit the offer first, then the deal gets assigned to a loss mitigator. That's when the negotiation process begins. So yes, you do need to get in touch with the lender, but you want to get in touch with the loss mitigator. That's the person at the bank that handles the accounts.